Okay, so the showdown here is over Isiah Pacheco. Chris and I have him ranked in two different tiers. Greg's going to judge our debates and see which one he agrees with more and where he falls on the Pacheco value of it all, too. I have him at 16. Chris has him at 8. So a mid-level RB2 to a mid-level RB1. So, Chris, why are you so confident in Pacheco cracking that top 8 this year?
First, I'm trying to figure out why you hate one of your own Rutgers players, Dan. I mean, there's very few of them in the NFL, so give them some props. But I think Isiah Pacheco is one of those last cutoff guys when you get to the actual bell cow back opportunities. There's a lot of different guys who talk about being a bell cow back, but he actually has the opportunity to be that guy. CHE is the only guy kind of there right now on the roster. They have a bunch of undrafted free agents backing him up. No McKinnon. And we saw without McKinnon, it was only a 4-game stretch, but he had over 100 yards and 20 touches per game. He's a guy who's been highly efficient in the passing attack. It was very efficient last year as well. So the increased opportunities didn't necessarily decrease his efficiency in the passing attack. And you saw a guy who had 9 total touchdowns. And a Chiefs offense that we all thought really struggled. We all talked about Patrick Mahomes and his struggles. This offense is going to be much more opportunistic in scoring and opportunistic with that of having guys not being 8 or 9 men in the box. You're going to have respect for Marquise Brown on the outside and Xavier Worthy on the outside and Travis Kelce and Rice and name all different other guys in the passing attack. And then forgot about Pacheco coming out of the backfield, forgot about Pacheco getting the draws, forgot about Pacheco getting opportunity to get 15, 20 touches and just have soft fronts to run against. So I think all those things add up to a guy that can be an RB1 option for you. I think RB14 last year in half-point PPR. So I think we're going to see an increase from that. And I think that you're going to see a guy that, barring injury, now injury is a tough thing because his running style kind of bars itself to that. But a guy who should go over 1,000 yards, continue to be involved in the passing attack, and one of the most potent offenses in football.
Yeah, there's a couple key points in your argument that I'm going to pretty much highlight as to why I am not as big on him, why I think he is more of a mid-level RB2 here. You laid it out. The offense last year was not as good, but it was also more run-dependent than we've seen the Chiefs' offense be in recent history, and he still could only be the RB15 on a points per game. Excuse me, as I get the frog out of my throat here. On top of it, you have a guy that, so while he was more featured than he would have been, and Jerrick McKinnon was out of the picture, not producing top 12 numbers, from week 9 on, he was very good, Chris. McKinnon misses a few games, 69% of the team carries, 11% target share. But the one thing that was interesting to me during that stretch, in particular between weeks 13 through 18, while Clyde Edwards-Helaire seemingly had been left out for dead, he started to work his way into that third down role during that last quarter part of the season. In fact, gaining to the point where he was getting an 11% target share as well, the same as Pacheco. His 17-game pace would have been 51 targets over that little stretch. Signaling
as that close to the playoffs.
Hold on, signaling potentially that they could potentially be open to the idea that Clyde Edwards-Helaire works in on passing downs, which is what I had profiled him to be coming out of college to begin with. I wouldn't be that surprised if Andy Reid decided, you know what, we'll give him a shot to kind of play a little bit of that McKinnon role as we got to see in the last quarter part of the season. And he also had the 7th most red zone touches. Here's what's interesting about that. The Chiefs have always been a pass-heavy red zone team, right? You got Patrick Mahomes, you want the ball in his hands and the most money part of the field. Last year was a huge increase where they ran the ball 42% of their red zone attempts inside of 10, where previous years they had been 38% or less in rushing. If we have all these weapons and we think Patrick Mahomes is going to have this big resurgence to being the Patrick Mahomes of old, I don't see Pacheco getting the same amount of opportunities in the red zone that he was just based off of that. I think, but to your point, as far as a workhorse role, I think he's got a great, strong RB2 floor. But I do not see a player who has a special potential, a special talent to be a top 12 player. He had every opportunity last year and still couldn't do it. Go ahead, give your rebuttal real quick.
Was Kareem Hunt bad for this Chiefs offense when he was healthy and playing for the
Kareem
Chiefs?
Hunt was a more elite player than Pacheco was. And actually, the most important, thank you for saying that, because the most important thing that just reminded me that you said it too. Pacheco's rushing style has already led to back and shoulder issues. That does need to factor in when you're ranking a guy who's not going to change his running style. And it's going to be his 3rd year in his league. I don't know if he can hold up playing the way that he does. While it's fun to watch, I don't know if he can hold up that long. Go ahead, Greg. Judge who you want in this debate and where you fall on Pacheco's stat line.
All right. So Pacheco, in my heart, I want Chris to be right because he's my RB2 in Scott Fish. Okay. But taking that aside, I have to judge his spirit. So I look at Pacheco and I think that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not really a huge drain on his touches. I see Pacheco as a third-year emerging running back who is going to get better, learn the game better. And that said, I think the two of you have kissed your sisters. Now, I don't know if you have sisters or not, but I graded it as a tie. You both made excellent points. It could go either way, and I hate ties, but I don't think either one of you won the argument. So I'm going to defer. Adam, I know you're not grading this, and I know you have your own feelings on Pacheco, but you heard their arguments now. Do you think that they were that disparate, or do you think that it was a tie in the argument case?
I think it was, I think both arguments were pretty strong. And look, I'm more or less right in the middle between you two as well. So you're going to have to look elsewhere for a real answer because I have him ranked right there at 14, knocking on the door of 13. I could go either way there. So.
I just say CHE didn't steal his job in the playoffs. So Dan can give that stretch all he wants from week 13 to week 18. The Chiefs were resting themselves to the playoffs. It's also a Chiefs team that lost on Christmas Day. So I wouldn't necessarily judge what they were doing there, but I would look at the playoff stretch and I saw Pacheco as being the man in the backfield.
Yeah,
I think the offense is going to be better. But again, you have the injury. I think that third year is an emerging year for a lot of players in the NFL. And I do think that if he plays a whole season, Chris probably has a little bit of an edge, but I don't know that he will play a whole season because of his running style. And in that case, Dan could be right. If he goes out and misses 5 or 6 games, Dan's going to be right. But if he plays the whole season, I'm not sure he makes 8 anyway because